Andersen.
Welcome back to channel Andersen, and welcome to a video on the ML55. Finally, it has been a hot minute since we did a video on this thing. Here it is in all of its glory, halfway hanging off the lift because I pulled it in a little bit sideways, but that's okay. We got some maintenance to catch up on because I have a new tune for this thing and I want to be able to put it on. I don't know if it's going to happen in this video, but before we get to the tuning, this thing is overdue for some spark plugs and just general kind of service to things in the engine bay. So I'm going to make some adjustments to catch can. I want to check how the catch can is doing. We're going to do valve covers, spark plugs, and just anything we see while we're in here. Basically, it's had a ton of service over, its lifespan. Just recently, we put a new radiator in it and I cleaned up, everything in the front. It's got newer pulley assemblies, tensioner, etc., belt. We deleted everything AC system wise on this thing because we just want it to be our, do everything tank and not worry about anything failing like an AC compressor or anything like that. And we don't use it often enough to justify having it. And yeah, it's just our everyday tank of a vehicle. My wife daily drives it. We daily drive it together as a family on the weekends, anytime we go out, really. And then I drive the other cars throughout the week. So it's been great for us and we want to keep it that way. So engine bay stuff needs to get taken care of, like I said. And then in another video, I'm going to end up doing the brakes and I don't think we need pads or anything yet. I just did those not too long ago, but I need new brake lines on this thing to be confident because they're getting old and we need to flush all the brake fluid out. So we'll do that in another video, but today let's start jumping into this thing. I just topped off the cooling, so a little bit low. And then we're gonna check catch can. I'm gonna get this airbox cover ripped off here, or maybe, there we go. And the back one is always stubborn. For a long time I didn't run this, but it looks kind of cool in the engine bay, so I run it. Let's put this on the transmission stand and dive right in. So if you don't know this thing, or you haven't seen it much on the channel, we have done quite a bit over the years. Resealed the intake manifold a while ago. Man, something is leaking oil like nobody's business. Oh yeah, I know our valve cover is leaking from a couple spots, but sheesh, this thing has gotten coated. Because I just had this intake manifold off not too long ago. I mean, some of this is just from road grime getting flung up here, but sheesh, man, I don't remember this thing being that dirty. Cool. Well, I'm sure the breathers look okay, but I know for sure the backside of this valve cover is leaking, and it looks like we're also getting some seepage through our catch can lines, which is not good. Those are supposed to be oil rated, so and that has a little burn mark on it. That is weird. Maybe I did that at some point. Anyways, we got to go through some of this stuff, guys. The other part, the first time I did this, I know I'm starting off this video talking a lot, but the first time I did the valve covers and spark plugs on this car, I was so mad because if you've ever taken out the rear inlet elbow to the throttle body on these things, the stock one, it is a nightmare, you guys. Trying to get it off, like you get the bottom little latch off and then trying to finagle it out underneath this thing is a nightmare. So even with unscrewing this and whatever, trying to move it out of the way a little bit, it was just relentless. And I was so pissed off that night. I remember working on the car. It took me way longer than it was supposed to. And yeah, it was just one of those things where it just all was going wrong and I wasn't happy. So I did a lot of modifications to this to make it so that it's not such a pain for future maintenance. So now we just have these, clamps at the different sections, and I made that elbow into a silicone elbow. But with the catch can setup, I did route this big port in, but I want to change that. I want to put that back to breathe atmosphere, because I've learned since doing that that's not correct for these the way I have it routed. So I'm going to change that, and it looks like, I don't know what lines I was using on this, but these ones definitely need to be changed because the oil is seeping through and we don't want that. So I have some better line. I guess I'll change that while I'm in here too. A lot of that stuff's going to get moved around to get out what we need to. So if I remember correctly, neither side is too bad, honestly. For M113s in the engine bays, you got plenty of space over here on both sides, actually. Passenger side is a breeze. Driver side is easier than the C55 just because, you know, it's in the SUV, it's a little bigger. So that's it. Let's just get into it, guys. I'm going to start ripping stuff off here. I'll set you guys up, get some B-roll, and yeah, let's just jump in. Alright guys, well, it's been so long I almost forgot how I set this thing up, but I knew it was a little bit janky. This elbow is totally fine. It's just a 90 elbow back there. It's hard for you guys to see. And then it goes to this piece, which is basically, I don't know, 3-inch aluminum piping with a coupler on top of it to make this other 90 bend or 45 bend coupler work. And I kind of feel like I might have something to replace this. And then we have a piece of the stock flexible elbow that I cut that goes into here. And then the stock MAF housing. So I think, maybe, I've since collected quite a bit of pieces. I probably don't actually. Yeah, because for different size stuff, this is all bigger stuff, I think. Yeah, this is like 3.5 inch. So maybe I don't have anything that will work to replace that. Maybe that flexible piece, but probably not a point in doing that. So that flexible piece works pretty well. So yeah. Oh well, maybe I'll hop online tonight and see if I can order a few things to make this. I don't need to. Just leave it. It's been working, guys. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not even going to sweat it. It works. Now we have access. I can see why my line was not holding in the oil, because it's a silicone line, and silicone lines, unless they're specifically designated for oil, they don't hold up to even the oil vapors. So that's why that one is weeping. So I will replace all those with actual fuel line, basically. Oh, what the heck? We got leaking power steering fluid too? What the heck, man? This hose is weeping. This is literally power steering line. God dang it, dude. All right. Well, we got a couple things to do, guys. Sheesh. All right, guys. Well, we got all sorts of stuff to tackle. What the heck? All right. So I guess operation number one right now is I got to zip both these valve covers off. Passenger side, don't forget, you got to get the transmission dipstick off of there because it's connected on these. So remove that. I'll take all the coil packs, let them hang down. I'll get valve covers off. I'm gonna try to vacuum in here a little bit before I do so. Tonight, I'm not really gonna be able to do anything with the valve covers because I gotta get them cleaned up and I wanna paint them black to put them before I put them back on with fresh gaskets. and it's gonna take, it's, you know, it's kind of a job getting them cleaned up. So do that properly tomorrow in the daylight, re-gasket the breathers, etc. And then tonight, once those are off, we'll do the spark plugs so that spark plugs are done and everything is ready to go back together once the valve covers are cleaned up. The only spot I see like with fresh leakage is this little area right here, and I'm not sure what it's from. I can tell this corner of the breather is leaking, so it could just be from that, but it almost looks like the intake manifold is leaking a bit, and that's a bit worrying because we just resealed this thing, and you know, maybe there's a corner or something that is, you know, not doing what it's supposed to be doing. The other part is I've had the catch can misrouted for a while. This big port is supposed to be breathing atmosphere or plugged into the MAF elbow. I have it basically tied into the catch can system, and it's not the right move. It's not something that I should have done, but live and learn. I just didn't know at the time, so I'm gonna put it back to how it was. But that could have been causing excessive crankcase pressure and, you know, making things blow out where they normally wouldn't. So yeah, I'm glad I'm getting in here because this is a lot uglier than I thought it was gonna be. So let's get this taken care of, prettied up. I wish I painted this thing when I had it off and I rebuilt it, but oh well, live and learn. But at least we can do the valve covers, get those all cleaned up while we have them off. All right, you guys, so far I found a couple possible culprits of what could have been causing that leak area. So if you guys know, every time I do the manifolds on these cars, I like to convert to studs and nuts to hold the manifolds in versus the factory bolts. In doing that though, you got to check them, you know, after a good amount of mileage to make sure nothing's come loose. Well, these ones had, all of them took a good 5-6 turns to get snug again. So I just snugged up the whole intake manifold. I went around and tightened up all the Allen bolts for the top shell cover. So hopefully if there was a leak, that'll solve that. And I'm guessing the car will probably run a whole lot better. I'm sure it's still sealing because it wasn't sealing the intake manifold. We probably had a pretty good vacuum leak and probably would have felt it. But I did notice the car would feel a little bit stumbly on idle sometimes, and it would kind of come or go. So it very well could be from that. In my mind, the spark plugs, these are, I run nickel alloy plugs, or what people call copper, and I've had these in for probably over like close to 30,000 miles or more, and that's pretty, you know, excessive for a traditional, you know, copper plug. So in my mind, I was like, I just need plugs, because if it's idling like that, you know, it's time. But, you know, it could be multiple things going on there. So yeah, that's it. We're just going through. Let's clean this up, get it sorted. Also, you guys want to see something extremely rare for an M112 or M113? All of my coil plug harness connectors still have the prong. This is unheard of. And all of them are there. Even this side, every single one is there. That is not even possible. All my other cars probably have none, or like, you know, a couple left. And you can, you know, swap out these connectors, which people do once they lose the prongs, but I've never had an issue with them still making a good connection, even if these things are missing. But still crazy rare. They were building the harnesses better in, you know, 2000. All right guys, coil packs are off on this side. I'm gonna start zipping off the bolts for the valve cover. Already undid our dipstick line over there. The oil dipstick will also get moved out of the way with that bottom left bolt. T30s for the coil packs, if you guys don't know. And then I always use the special Mercedes spark plug wrench, or you can just use an angled wrench or something to pop the boots off. I don't use it for what it's intended for, really. but it works well to pop the boots off, so I do that. And that's about it. Anything else I should point out while we're here? Not really. I'm just gonna zip this off. So show you guys what we look like underneath the valve covers here in a second. All right, guys, all the bolts zipped off. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the regular ones, and then 2 longer ones through the breather. And this thing should be free. It's just very locked in place. Give me 2 hands, hold on. All right, got it cracked free here in the front. The gasket is stuck in place in a few areas. I can tell we need to do oil changes more often on this thing. Let's see if we can snake it out. Get our wiring harness kind of out of the way as much as we can. All right, and come on now. Okay, I need 2 hands, guys. That transmission line's getting in the way. All right, guys, well, there we are. Not terrible, but definitely could be a little bit cleaner. This motor is getting close to 200,000 miles. It's almost at 190. And I do run this probably longer than the rest of them oil change wise. So we'll try to tidy that up a little bit, but I mean, for an M113, it's not terrible. My C55 looks a lot cleaner than this. CLK55 looked a lot cleaner than this. But I drive those less, and yeah, it's just kind of nature of the game. But I think we will do an oil change when this is all done. Throw in some good VR1 2050 and some motor oil saver. Get it cleaned up and go from there. But I know now why, guys, the back corner was leaking, because it is a pain to get this off with this thing in the way. It just does not move enough, and I don't want to wiggle it too much because then you're gonna risk messing up the seal for the dipstick on the transmission. But it gets in the way big time with pulling the valve cover off and putting it back on. So I'm gonna have to be very, very methodical once I get the valve cover sitting back on here with my meter in the back there, and double check that the gasket is making a good seal, because that's where it was leaking, that back corner, and then it drips onto the exhaust and you can smell it. So the rest of it, it was pretty much sealed everywhere else, but back left corner, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's wet there on that head bolt. It was definitely leaking in the back left corner. So driver's side is completely dry. From what I can see, even the breather is not leaking on this side. So we did a good job over here last time we did it. But this one, I'm blaming it on that, because I've never had an M113 valve cover leak after I've done them, besides like a breather cover here and there. But yeah, that back corner, I'm blaming it on that thing for sure. All right, guys, driver's side is ready to come off. Let's get this to hang out somewhere else for now. All right, you guys, well, at some point last night, GoPro died and I just kept working, but it's the next night. I got all the spark plugs out on this side. I didn't get them out yet on the driver's side, but I wanted to show you. We had a pretty good burn going on. Hopefully you guys can see. But all of them are really consistent, so I'm pretty happy with this. And the gap was pretty close to inspec on all of them. They're supposed to be like 0.040, I believe. Yeah, that's what I normally try to set them at, between 0.035 and 040, but usually right at 040 out of the box on these. And a few of them were at like 045, but nothing crazy. So I look back at the video because I couldn't remember. It's been 3 years since I changed them, and about 30,000 miles, because I changed them right around 160. We're almost at 190. So not as many miles as I thought I had on them, but still a perfect time to change for, you know, a traditional spark plug. So we ran them right kind of to where they needed to be. So probably could have kept running them in the condition they're in. Like, they weren't that bad, to be honest. Definitely a little bit oily, but that's just to be expected. And I was looking back at the other video, and the valve train definitely looked a little bit cleaner in my older videos. It's not too far off, but I think I'm just going to commit to doing shorter intervals for this thing. I was running it to like 6K sometimes on oil changes, and I'm just going to swip it down to like 3. So we'll get back to that. I'll probably run some like 2050 diesel oil in it for a while for the next few changes, like between 2,000 3,000 miles, to clean everything up. I'm not really a big fan of the engine flushes. I looked into it. I think I was talking about it earlier in the video. Some of them are fine, like the Liquiwally stuff. I see people use it all the time, but I'm not a big fan of them personally. Oil has a ton of detergents in it if you're getting good stuff, and it should be able to clean out your motor. You know, so I'll just do that. We'll do the good old-fashioned way to clean things up. Other things, while you guys weren't with me, went and picked up a bunch of cleaning supplies, and I also picked up some actual transmission cooler, which we'll use for the power steering. Same hose that you can use for it, 400 psi rated. It's Gates 100 R6, so it should be compatible with the power steering fluid. This must not have been the right type of line when I used it. I thought it was, but I don't think it was. So we'll throw this in. I got some extra because I just did the C36 with another Gates line, which I think was this one. And this is only rated for fuel. So I will swap that one out on the C36 with some of this. And then all the cars use this, all the M113s. So I'll have another spare chunk of it laying around, I'm sure. And then the rest of that, well, good shot. That was bad. The rest of that is brake fluid, some cleaning supplies for valve covers. I haven't decided if I'm going to paint them, to be honest, yet, guys, even though I really want to. But time-wise, we'll see. My days have been really busy with just family stuff and just taking care of other business. So I wanted to paint them all today, but it was raining and everything else. So we'll see if we get to them. Otherwise, I'll just scrub them down nice and good, reseal them, and I'm okay with it just being bare, because this is not the show car engine bay by any means. So let's continue on and get the spark plugs in. This is what I got for spark plugs. These are BKR 5ES, which is the stock heat range for this. I can't remember. These are 6ES that came out. I can't remember if those are the ones that I normally run in the C55 or if it's BKR 5ES that I normally run in the C55. I think I just ended up running the same in both last time, so they might both be on 6. 5 is a little bit hotter. 6 is colder, so I believe I got that right. So anyways, this is what the stock, factory manual calls for. I don't know why at some point on the M113s, they went from a 5 to a 6, the later stuff. Maybe it had to do with tuning, something to do with timing, engine heat, I don't know. But they decided after about 2002, 2003, the M113s started getting one step colder instead of hotter. So don't ask me, ask the engineers at Mercedes. And yeah, that's it. Let's throw them in. All right, guys, if you don't know this trick already, it's one of my favorite tricks in the book. Use a little piece of 3/8 hose, firmly fit on spark plug, and then you can thread them in by hand. And it just makes it really easy to make sure you're getting a nice thread in to your cylinder head. And when it's all done, you'll be able to pop it out. You'll feel it stop. I gotta use a little bit longer piece of hose. That's okay. All right, there we go. One in, and then we can test it with our socket, obviously. All right, you guys, well, it is a few nights later, actually, and we need to get this thing back together because I'm officially back to work tomorrow. Vacation is over, and that means my wife needs this for daily duties, taking my son to school, etc. So we got to slap back together. I've been trying to clean up the valve covers for the past 3 days, but the rain has been relentless, and I just have not had a chance to do it without, you know, getting poured on outside. I'm meaning to get a parts washer. I have plans to once I can get this thing out of the way. I wanted to get this one last maintenance job done, and then I'm doing a major cleanup and reorganization on the garage because it is a mess in here. It's just disorganized and chaos, and it's hard to even get around, let alone, you know, figure out places to work. So this corner, I want to put a parts washer right there. All the transmission is going to get organized underneath a different setup we're going to build. Basically going to do like a whole wood shelf, you know, workbench from that white cabinet all the way over. Make it flush with these banisters so that we got as much room this way as possible between, you know, the edge of the lift and there. So that'll be plenty of work room right there. And then we'll have storage underneath. And yeah, it'll just make things a lot easier. So that's for another video. Here we've put all the spark plugs in. I have the coil packs plugged in on this side. I didn't plug in the coil packs yet on this side, but I need to get the valve covers just cleaned up. I don't know if I'm going to go for paint right now, guys, to be honest. I just want to get them cleaned up and throw them back on. So we got to do it. It's just one of those things. And to be honest, I think the way to go on these valve covers is they got to be powder coated. Otherwise, I just don't think the paint holds up. I've tried like 3 different paints on them, and all of them on mine are not holding up. Actually, I think the CLK turned out the best, and that was like the Alumablast paint, and that just goes straight on. It doesn't look the best, but it's something, so I could hit it with that after we get done here, but it's also really cold, and it might take a while to dry, and I don't have a whole lot of time tonight, so let's get them cleaned up, see how much time we got, make a decision at that point, but let's go for it. All right, you guys, I wasn't sure if I was going to paint the valve covers, but valve cover reveal, I ended up painting them. Not looking for a show job on this one, just get the job done, really. I used the Krylon 5 times, and it's been the stickiest paint that I've ever used on anything, so I figured it was worth a shot. So here they are. Paint them on the ground over here, and they're ready to go in. So let them dry overnight, and now I'm gonna put everything back together. I gotta get our coil packs plugged in on this side, and yeah, just throw this back together. I'll see how much time I got. It's like 5 in the morning right now. I gotta leave to work by like 6:30, so we'll see if we can get all this done, and then I gotta change that hose on the power steering, change the fluid out a little bit. I'm gonna leave the brakes for another episode, but I will change out the fluid that's in that reservoir, at least for now. And then if we got enough time, I'll probably throw some new oil in this thing too. So let's push it, see how far we can get in like 45-50 minutes. All right, guys, making progress. Passenger side is back on, and also I wanted to share this because I figured out a life hack. It was a pain before because the transmission fill would always get in the way, but I figured out kind of one hand method. Hold it with your right hand and then push this back with your left hand while you're setting it down, and it will drop in just fine. It was fighting me on the way out because that thing just kept hitting on it, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened last time, and that's why our back corner over there didn't seal good. So this time I made triple sure with the mirror back there, made sure everything was sitting nicely. See our gasket, our blue Felpro gaskets that I always use on everything now. It's all good. And I think these are like 10 foot-pounds or something like that, but I honestly just use the Milwaukee 3/8 ratchet and just cinch them all down to an even spot with the ratchet. It's easy to feel, kind of like when this thing wants to, you know, stop and not push it past, you know, torquing them too far down. So that's what I've been doing the last few times, and it's worked out really well. So I'm just gonna stick with that. Moving on to the driver's side, and I gotta go quick because I'm running out of time. All right, you guys, well, I ran out of time this morning, but we're back to it. I almost finished everything we needed, but yeah, just like I said, had to get to work. So left it, didn't want to rush everything back together real quick before I gave it to my wife. So we got a little bit more cleaning up to do. All of this basically dust. If you guys remember, after we deleted like all the AC system, my fans would kick on super high all the time because I wasn't aware that I needed to keep the little sensor plugged in, and it was just blowing dust everywhere. So that's how this all happened, which sucks, but I'm going to try to vacuum it because it's mostly like dry. It's not like oily, it's just dust and dirt. So I'm going to try to get that cleaned up as much as possible. Obviously it's just visual, but at the same time, having that much dirt clogged up on the heads does reduce cooling to some degree, and it's just nasty, more importantly. So I'll try to get it off. I just swapped out the brake fluid that was in the reservoir. It honestly wasn't as bad as I thought, so brake fluid is not too bad, but it's all fresh at least in there. And once we do the lines, I'll replace all the fluid, obviously. Right now though, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the power steering fluid out of here, just suck it out with the little suction, and then I will replace this line, and I will fill it back up, and we're pretty much job's done with everything. Modifications I made to the catch can, I put a wire right here so it's just easier to get to everything. Some nice fresh lines on it, and besides that, pretty much same as we were. Like I said, guys, this valve cover job was not to win any awards for their looks. There's a bunch of blotchy spots and whatever, but this paint sticks better than any other paint I've tried, so it's more so just for a little bit of layer protection, because these valve covers do, just like the intake manifolds, tend to develop some corrosion spots. Even on my C55, I had, you know, one corner that was like kind of splitting that I had to repair with epoxy, and you know, just temporary solution. Next time I find an M113 at the junkyard, I should have actually, when I just went to the ML430 to get the trailer package off of, tow hitch off of, I'll grab a set of M113 valve covers that I can powder coat, and that way I can swap them into whatever car is next to get valve cover gaskets, and then I can just have a rotation of a spare one that I can powder coat every time another one comes off. So yeah, that's it. I'm almost done. Once I get it fired up, probably warm it up for a little bit, and then I will change out the engine oil. I was gonna go get some diesel oil because it's good cleaning wise, but I think my cheapest and good bet is just use that Euro 540 that I have in the buckets over here, because it's cheap and I don't really care about it. I got it for free literally. So I'm just gonna use it to run through this and do like some quick intervals, like 2,000 mile to 3,000 mile intervals. And that way we can just change it more often. I'll do that 2 or 3 times, and then I'll start running a probably 1540 diesel oil in this thing to keep it clean. So that's it. Let's go ahead, suction this thing out, and move on. All right, guys. Well, like I said, no show truck, but it's there. So got our new line on. Went a little bit longer just because this line doesn't have quite the bending radius capabilities as the other one, but that's totally fine. Should hold up, no problem. I got to clean up a little mess back there that I spilt while the line was off. And I vacuumed what I could. I'm going to need to pressure wash this to get it actually off, but at least it doesn't look so caked on. The front of the engine is really clean because we pressure washed it when I had everything off in the front assembly, but guarantee a lot of that dust probably got into the nooks and crannies down there too. So we just got to pressure wash this engine bay again at some point, but it's not top of my priorities whatsoever. Old EGR cable that's not plugged in anything anymore. We got our breather on back there. We got our catch can lines, like I said. Just got to put our beauty cover back on. All right, guys, got the beauty cover back on. Is what it is, but things are good to go. Let's go ahead, fire it up, get the engine warm, and then we'll drop the oil out. All right, guys, 188,000 miles on this old tank, but we love it very dearly. Go ahead, fire it up. We're 405 days behind on service, but I forgot we needed to bring the fuel up, so that's why I took a while to start since I had the fuel line. Alright, forgot we needed to bring the fuel up, so that's why I took a while to start since I had the fuel line unplugged, but idled down nicely. Let this thing warm up. Now we'll change oil. And of course, you guys know, wouldn't be one of my videos without this thing dying. So annoying. All right, you guys, well, she's off the lift. Oil change complete. You guys have seen that a million times, so didn't really include you guys on that. Yeah, pretty straightforward. A lot of work, just because, you know, it's kind of tight working on M113 with spark plugs. But overall, I've gotten pretty used to it over the years, and this is my second or third time doing this on this car. And each time it gets a little bit easier. Figure out little tricks, like me this time figuring out holding the trans dipstick while I'm placing the valve cover down. Makes that side way easier, not a headache anymore. Yeah, whole reason we wanted to get everything up to date, guys, is because we got a new tune file from Josh, Mercedes Swap Shop, and we're gonna load it up soon. I just wanted to get it all freshened up. I'll drive it for a little while, and the next video you guys see, we'll throw the tune on it and see what else we can do. Probably some other stuff. I'm trying to think. I don't know, but it's nice to know everything is fresh. Fresh spark plugs, fresh valve cover gaskets, fresh oil, fresh power steering fluid, fresh brake fluid. Next time I'll do the brake lines and I'll flush the whole system, but it's pretty good for now. So let's keep driving it. My wife will be happy it's back. Even though she does like driving the C36, she's been dailying it the last few days. So we were dailying 202s, both her and I. I was driving the 43, she was driving the 36. So it's like we're living in a different era. Pretty cool though. The power combo, C43, C36. And this thing of the same era, the 2000 ML55. Well, you guys have been asking for this thing for a while. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the maintenance, and next video we have with it, we'll have some fun. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Peace.